My name is Mika LaVaque-Manty. I'm a third-year professor in the political science department, and in the winter 2026, I will be teaching POLSCI 101, Introduction to Political Theory. I'm originally from Finland. I came to the US almost 40 years ago to go to college, and I've actually come to Michigan twice. I did my graduate work here in the 90s. Then I had my first academic job as an assistant professor at the University of Washington in Seattle. And 3 years later, they had a job opening here, and I had to think very hard about this beautiful Pacific Northwest or a much better job, and chose here, and I have been very happy here. I have been here since 2001. I was actually trained as a philosopher. Both my undergraduate degree and PhD are in philosophy. My PhD is actually from across the quad here, from Angell Hall, from Michigan. But even as an undergrad, I was really interested in political questions and political science. I even wrote a political science honors thesis my junior year, even though I didn't major in political science. That was somehow possible at the University of Spoiled Children in the 80s. But so I was interested in political questions and political science questions, and I'm a political theorist. So it's a field that straddles political science and philosophy. In graduate school, I started hanging around with actually grad students in this department, one of whom became my spouse. And then when I got back to Ann Arbor, I was a faculty member here. So I'm interested in questions that have to do with actual politics. I love philosophy, but I was interested in the practical, what people actually do, how they think about it, what happens on the ground. That's an easy question. Students. I love students. I love learning from the students. I think I've learned, well, definitely if I think about I think I counted recently 5,600 students I've taught in the quarter century I've been here. I've learned more from them, by far much more than they've learned from me, at least collectively, because there's so many of them. I love learning from them, I love working with them, and I love seeing them learn. That's one of the reasons I love teaching POLSCI 101, where the students are, for the most part, first years and sophomores. And then I love teaching, as I'm doing this semester, our senior honors who are finishing their political science theses. It's great to see how much students learn in all kinds of ways. I'd like to think that we have something to do with it, but it's also the students themselves, and that's what's really the best part. There isn't really a favorite unit, but what I have been interested in myself for the last 15 years is how people learn, particularly in college. And because this year is the theme year of life-changing education, I use a lot of college, kind of a political theory of college as a theme for the course. And because it's a question I'm interested in myself, and that matters a lot for our students, it's most interesting to me. And again, in my experience, students tend to find it pretty rewarding. Oh yeah, everything. First of all, in terms of the topic, I don't spend very much time on questions people think of as political science. So we will not talk about elections or the government very much. We will talk about those things. We will talk about political ideologies like liberalism, conservatism. We'll talk about Marxism and things like that. But we also talk about political phenomena, like I said, the political theory of college, learning. We look for political phenomena in different parts of human lives. And so that's surprising for the students. And because it's political theory, we have some old readings. And so students who are expecting that we'll be talking about Trump or Ukraine or the Middle East, they might be surprised to realize that we might be reading Plato or Thomas Hobbes, 17th century philosopher. We'll read some contemporary stuff too, don't worry. And the readings will be short. The other surprising thing is that it is taught as a gameful course. So the assignments are basically like a video game in the sense that you choose your own adventure. You start from zero and you build up. Whatever you do, you learn and earn something. And they are safe failures, so students can try lots of things many different times. And students historically have found this at first kind of freaky. They are worried because it looks different from what they're used to. And in the end, especially when they realize they are going to be doing just fine in terms of their grades, they are usually a little happier. Yes, all kinds of funny things have happened in my class. Sometimes I think the funny part is what I do. So when we talk about John Stuart Mill in Experiments of Living, which he advocated, that people try to be brave and try new things, I use Phoebe running from the TV show Friends as an example, which students even still sometimes watch in reruns. And so usually I try to solicit a student to demonstrate Phoebe running for the rest of the class. And kids these days sometimes don't have the courage to do it, so then I have to do it myself. And the other surprising thing that might be a fun thing for students is that when I let the students take over, sometimes we have a deliberate revolution and we'll see how they solve the collective action problem of running a class themselves. Interestingly, I think all of college is about learning to learn more than just getting information. There's Google, there's Wikipedia, there's now Gen AI. So if we're after just information, I think we're in the wrong business. What I'd like them to learn is learn how to think in new ways, how to take responsibility for their own learning, to realize that, wow, this is something I don't know, now I can learn it. But we also have substantive questions that are relevant for political science in particular. What I'd like them to learn to think about is that why the fact that we have very different conceptions of what makes life worth living, what is valuable, what we should do and how we should live, why that's actually a good thing, and learn to appreciate one another a little more. And that's, I think, one of the goals I have from the political side. I'm not interested in them getting any particular political ideas. They can strengthen their own old ones, become better articulators of what they believe in, help see new perspectives. But the goal is for them to learn to appreciate other perspectives, which I think is sadly needed at this point in particular.